Here's a question that'll tell me everything about your leadership style in about 3 seconds. When you roll out AI to your team, do you hand them a sword or do you hand them a helmet? One says, I trust you to use this tool. Make good decisions. The other says, this tool is powerful. Let me make sure you don't hurt yourself. Empower employees with AI or protect them from it. Let's sort this out. Welcome to Binary Business. I'm Will Guidry. Episode 7, still in the audience layer of the ABCD framework. Today's question is one of the most uncomfortable in AI leadership. Get it wrong and you either create chaos or kill adoption entirely. This isn't about capability, it's about trust. So here we go. Empower employees or protect them. I was on a call last month with a COO, Fortune 500 company. Spent 45 minutes explaining their AI empowerment initiative. Sounded incredible. Cutting edge tools, unlimited access, innovative labs, the whole TED Talk fantasy. Then I asked him one question. What happens when someone uses your AI to make a bad decision? Dead silence. You could hear the Zoom pixels sweating. Finally, he said, well, we're hoping that doesn't happen. Sir, that's not a strategy. That's a prayer. And I don't think Microsoft Copilot comes with divine intervention. Although at $30 a user per month, maybe it should. Here's the real issue. Most companies try to split the difference. They say empowerment in the all hands meeting, but their IT policies scream protection. They give people access to AI tools, then create 12-step approval processes to actually use them. I call this empowerment theater. It's like giving someone a Ferrari with the speed governor set at 25 miles an hour. Sure, technically they have a Ferrari, but they're getting passed by a Prius. Let me give you a concrete example. I worked with a manufacturing client last year. Good company, smart leadership. They wanted to roll out AI-assisted quality control. The first option, they wanted to train the operators to use AI recommendations and make judgment calls. That's empowerment. The second option was use AI to flag issues, but require supervisor approval for any deviation from standard processes. That's protection. They chose empowerment, and it was the wrong choice. Not because empowerment is wrong, but because their operators had 6 weeks of tenure on average. Their supervisors had decades of tribal knowledge that wasn't documented anywhere. So they didn't have an AI problem. They had an institutional memory problem wearing an AI costume. A few months later, guess what? They were back at manual processes. The real question isn't whether to empower or to protect. It's, does your team have the judgment to use power well? And if not, what are you doing about it? Let's unpack both of those. Empowerment means giving people AI tools and trusting them to use those tools. They make judgment calls. They learn by doing. They own those outcomes. Here's when this works. First, if your team has experience and context. Empowerment works when people already have good judgment. AI just makes their good judgment faster and more scalable. Second, if the cost of mistakes is pretty low. If someone makes a bad AI-assisted decision and the impact is a wasted afternoon, that's a learning opportunity. Empowerment thrives when failure is really cheap. Third, if you want speed over consistency. Empowerment lets people move fast. If speed matters more than uniformity, give people the tools and get out of the way. But here's the catch. Picture a SaaS company empowering their sales team with AI-generated emails. Full autonomy. Use your judgment, they say. Within 2 weeks, one rep was sending AI-generated cold emails that were so aggressive they got the company flagged as spam by 3 major email providers. What did the rep say in defense? The AI said it would increase response rates. The AI wasn't wrong, technically. Aggressive emails tend to get more responses, usually from lawyers. Empowerment works when people have the judgment to use it. It fails when you're hoping good judgment will somehow appear alongside the new tools. Binary 0, protect employees. Protection means creating guardrails around AI use. Approval processes, review layers, restricted access. The AI works, but within boundaries. Here's when this is useful. First, if your team is new or undertrained. If people don't have the context to make good decisions, protection keeps them from making bad ones while they learn. Second, if the cost of mistakes is high. If a bad AI-assisted decision costs you a customer, a lawsuit, or a regulatory violation, protection is cheap insurance. Third, if consistency matters more than speed. Protection creates uniformity. Every AI output gets the same review. Quality is predictable, even if it's slower. But here's the trap. Protection can become learned helplessness. If people never make decisions, they never develop judgment. You create a workforce that can't function without guardrails. I've seen companies protect employees so thoroughly that when the protection was finally lifted, nobody knew how to make the decisions anymore. They'd been trained to wait for approval. Independent judgment had completely atrophied. Protection that never ends isn't protection, it's a cage. Protection works as a phase, and it fails when it becomes permanent. This really comes down to one thing. Does your team currently have the judgment to use AI well? If the answer is yes, empower them. They'll make you proud. If the answer is no, protect them while you build that judgment. The mistake is treating this as a permanent identity. We're an empowerment company or we're a protection company. No, you're a company that matches the approach to the readiness of the team. Some teams are ready for empowerment today. Others need 6 months of protection first, and that's okay. The goal isn't to pick a philosophy. The goal is to build an organization that eventually earns empowerment. Quick note, if you're finding these breakdowns useful, hit the subscribe button. New episodes drop twice a week. Next up, human judgment or AI recommendations. We're getting into who should actually make decisions. So let's run this through the ABCD. A is for audience. Who's affected when you choose empowerment versus protection? If you empower employees, they gain agency, but they also gain accountability. They can move fast, they can innovate, they can also mess up in ways that become their problem. I've seen empowerment energize teams because people love to be trusted. They rise to the occasion. I've also seen empowerment terrify teams. Some people don't want that responsibility. They'd rather have clear rules and someone else make the hard calls. Same approach, completely different reception depending on who's receiving it. If you protect employees, they feel safer but also constrained. The guardrails are comforting for some and suffocating for others. Here's the audience question that matters. What does your team actually want? Not what they say in your surveys, what they demonstrate through behavior. Do they push against guardrails or do they hide behind them? The answer tells you which approach fits your current reality. B is for build. What infrastructure supports each approach? If you empower employees, you need training infrastructure. Not just here's how to use the tool, but deep training on judgment. When to trust the AI, when to override it, when to escalate. You also need feedback loops. How do empowered people know if their decisions were good? Without measurement, empowerment becomes guessing with confidence. If you protect employees, you need to have a review infrastructure, approval workflows, escalation paths, and human checkpoints. But here's what most companies miss. Protection requires capacity. If every AI decision needs supervisor approval, you need enough supervisors to handle the volume. Otherwise, protection becomes a bottleneck. I worked with a company that required manager approval for all AI-generated customer communications. Sounds great in theory, but they had 200 customer-facing employees and 8 managers. Those managers were spending their entire day approving AI outputs. Not coaching, not strategy, no leadership, just clicking approve, approve, approve. That's not protection. That's bureaucracy cosplaying as risk management. Either approach fails without the right infrastructure. Empowerment without training is chaos. Protection without capacity is gridlock. C is for convert. How does this affect revenue? Empowerment is faster. Decisions happen without waiting for approval. If speed drives revenue, empowerment is going to win every time. Protection is safer. Mistakes get caught before they reach customers, and if trust drives revenue, protection wins. Here's the conversion lens that matters. What's the cost of a mistake versus the cost of a delay? If a bad AI decision loses you a customer, that's real revenue damage. Protection is worth the slowdown. If waiting for approval means missing a sales window, that's also real revenue damage. Empowerment is worth the risk. Map your decisions to their revenue impact. High impact decisions get protection. Low impact decisions get empowerment. Most companies apply one approach to everything, but that's just kind of lazy. Match the approach to the stakes. D is for deliver. What happens after you choose empowerment or protection? Delivery is fast but variable. Some people will absolutely crush it. Others are going to struggle. You'll get a range of outcomes. So here's the challenge. How do you handle the people who struggle? Do you pull back their empowerment? Do you coach them up? Do you let them fail until they learn? Well, if you protect, delivery is slow but consistent. Everyone follows the same process. Your quality is uniform, but so is speed. Uniform and slow. Here's the delivery question. Can you tolerate variance? If the answer is yes, empower and accept that some of your outcomes will be excellent while others are going to be mediocre. If the answer is no, protect and accept that all outcomes will be acceptable, but none will be exceptional. The goal over time is to earn empowerment. Start with protection for new people. Demonstrate judgment. Earn more autonomy. Eventually, the whole organization operates empowered because everyone has developed the judgment to deserve it. That's a multi-year journey, but it's the right one. Don't pick empowerment or protection as an identity. Use them as tools that match the situation. New employees, protect them while they develop judgment. Experienced employees with strong track records, empower them and get out of the way. High-stakes decisions, protection regardless of experience level. Low-stakes decisions, empowerment regardless of experience. The sequence that works. Protect new people. graduate them to empowerment as they demonstrate judgment, maintain protection on high-stakes decisions, even for veterans. One more thing, watch out for the trust gap. If you say empowerment but build protection infrastructure, people will notice that. They feel the gap between what you say and what you do. That destroys trust faster than just being honest about protection. If you're going to protect people, own it. Say, hey, we're building guardrails while you develop judgment. As you demonstrate good decisions, we'll expand your autonomy. That's honest. That's respectful. That gives people a path forward. If you're going to give people that Ferrari, take off the speed governor. Otherwise, just give them a Honda and be honest about it. The Honda drivers are actually much happier. They're not sitting there wondering why their sports car can't pass a school bus. Thanks for listening to Binary Business. Trying to figure out whether to empower or protect your team? Grab the Binary Decision Scorecard. It'll help you see where your team's judgment gaps actually are. Click the link in the description for that. In the next episode, human judgment or AI recommendations. We're exploring when AI should advise versus when it should decide. Subscribe so that you catch it. YouTube viewers, hit the like if this was helpful. This is Binary Business. All signal, no noise.